The film begins with a young woman named B, who wakes up from a terrifying nightmare in a panic in the early morning. She is sleeping inside a tent next to her husband, Jay, who is still peacefully asleep. She steps outside the tent. B decides to walk a little through the forest to calm down after the nightmare that is still affecting her, causing her hands to shake. After taking a deep breath and looking out from the top of a hill, she returns to the tent, where the sun is already high in the sky. Jay mentions that he moved some items from B's heavy backpack into his own because it was too heavy. The couple decides to follow a trail that would take about half an hour to reach their destination. They are celebrating the 1-year anniversary of B's recovery from cancer, and they choose to celebrate it the way they love most: long hikes and camping, something they are both used to. However, they have no idea what awaits them this time. Even though B is now 100% recovered from cancer, she starts to struggle with walking and gets injured along the way. Jay tries to encourage her, reminding her of all the adventures they've shared together in different places. He suggests they can turn back and take a safer route if she wants, but B insists on continuing this specific path, even though it's the least used one, treating it as another adventure like she always does. Jay ends up carrying both backpacks, while B is clearly struggling to keep going. Before nightfall, they stop at a spot to set up camp and spend the night. B says she wants to go to a nearby stream to wash her wounds, and there she begins to cry, remembering how she used to be and how weak she feels now. While washing her wounds, she notices an animal's body in the middle of the stream. Jay goes to check and says it's a bear, but strangely, it has no skin at all. Jay says he has never seen anything like it before and has no idea what could have done that, though he initially suspects hunters. However, he insists it couldn't be normal hunters unless they were illegal poachers. On their way back to the tent, Jay tells B that he knows she doesn't like being treated differently because of her condition, but he takes initiative and prepares everything for her. Seeing this makes her feel happy and grateful for her husband's kindness and care. At night, they sit around a campfire under a sky full of endless stars, talking about their lives. Suddenly, they hear a gunshot in the distance and become alert, wondering what is going on since it shouldn't be happening there. Jay says he will contact the forest authorities, but B stops him, saying the shot was far away and by morning they will already be gone. She also worries that calling would end their trip. That night, they hear strange sounds followed by a terrifying roar in the distance. Inside the tent, they try to sleep, but something violent tears through the tent fabric, waking B from another nightmare. She starts breathing heavily when she hears noises outside in the forest. She realizes Jay is not in the tent, so she decides to go out and check. She walks cautiously with a flashlight, but suddenly hears a sharp scream that makes her collapse in shock, dropping the light. When she picks it up, she realizes she has fallen onto a strange sticky substance and sees enormous footprints nearby. She notices movement in the distance between the trees. Something is moving in the darkness. Suddenly, Jay appears behind her. He had gone out to check the surroundings. They return to the tent only to find it completely destroyed and covered in the same sticky substance. Their belongings are damaged, including B's phone and Jay's boots. They discover something strange in the middle of the area, and the tension rises as they hear more horrifying sounds, like trees being violently torn apart. Overwhelmed with fear and desperation, the couple decides to run as fast as they can. B suggests heading toward a nearby point she saw on the map where the trail splits, but Jay says it is about 16 kilometers away. While they were walking, they suddenly noticed a strange smoke rising above a nearby hill, coming from behind a tree. From inside the smoke, a monstrous hand appeared and grabbed the trunk. B froze, staring at it, but Jay quickly pulled her away so they could run. As they escaped, they heard roars coming from all directions. In panic, Jay hit a tree trunk but managed to get back up. He said the shelter had to be a few more kilometers ahead, and they kept moving while hearing distant roars. At sunrise, they finally reached a small water stream. Jay was surprised they hadn't found any traces of the creatures yet, and at least they hadn't heard the roars for a while, which might mean they had escaped. Jay spotted a path ahead and moved slightly away from B. At that moment, B smelled the strange smoke again, and her eyes briefly changed before returning to normal. Jay took another step forward and suddenly fell into a trap. He screamed in pain as he tried to get out, but his leg was broken. At that moment, they heard the creatures roaring again. Bee quickly pulled Jay out, trying to escape, but after a few meters, Jay collapsed and couldn't continue. Bee told him she would look for something to help and ran into the forest. The roar was extremely close this time, forcing her to stop for a moment and look around. She continued carefully, trying not to make a sound, but accidentally stepped on a dry branch, which made a loud noise and attracted the creature. Bee managed to escape and ran until she reached strange ruins. Inside, she found an unnatural pit. Then she saw something horrifying. Human skin stretched and displayed across the ruins. Behind one of them, she noticed strange eyes watching her, which terrified her and made her heart race. She ran until she reached an old fallen tree. The creature seemed to be searching for her. Suddenly, someone grabbed her from behind and covered her mouth. Heavy footsteps approached, followed by a terrifying roar. A sticky substance fell right in front of her, meaning the creature was extremely close. Meanwhile, another scene shows Jay being carried while injured, as Bee opens a door leading into a strange place. It turns out to be a hidden shelter belonging to a mysterious man, who throws her a first aid kit so she can treat Jay's injuries. The man introduces himself as Quinn and quickly tries to calm Jay, who is screaming in pain, while Bee attempts to set his broken leg. Quinn tells them to stay silent so they don't attract the creature. Then he forces Jay's broken bone back into place, causing him unbearable pain until he passes out. At night, Bee finishes bandaging her husband's leg. When Jay wakes up, Bee explains what she found at the camp before the creature attacked them. Quinn then reveals that the creature is called the Indigo. Jay turns out to already know stories about it. Thousands of people disappear every year in the American wilderness. In the morning, Bee goes with Quinn to search for tracks, while he says he will return to Jay. But during their walk, Quinn suddenly disappears, leaving Bee alone and terrified as she calls his name. Suddenly, the Wendigo appears and attacks her, nearly killing her. At the last moment, Quinn returns and shoots at the creature, which is still forming like smoke. The creature escapes, and Quinn chases it into the forest but quickly loses it. Bee worries that Quinn might have left her as bait, but he explains that he was watching the creature from hiding and that bullets affect it. However, the only way to kill it is by separating its head from its body. Since they find no traces, they return to Quinn's shelter. There, Bee examines Jay's injury and discovers it is extremely serious. He could die if they don't find treatment soon. At that moment, Quinn admits he cannot let Bee leave because he has noticed she is sick. He asks if she experiences strange nightmares and explains that the creature doesn't just eat humans. It can also take control of sick or near-death bodies because they are weaker. Bee admits she has had cancer for some time and that it has returned, but she didn't tell her husband because she wanted to give him a final happy memory before she dies. Quinn says he cannot let her leave the shelter at least until they kill the creature. He also reveals that he is there because he is hunting it, because it kidnapped his daughter a long time ago, and he has been living only to kill it ever since. After that, Bee fell asleep for a short while. Then she noticed something covered in the area. She took a box of matches before entering the room and discovered that it was a tunnel. She went down it to see where it led and reached a wider space with a horrible smell. When she lit a match, she found remains of human bodies. She became terrified and quickly ran out of that place. When she returned, Quinn grabbed her. Bee accused him of being a killer and a monster, but he said the real monster was outside and that he would do everything he could to destroy it. It was revealed that Quinn had planned to use Jay, her husband, as bait for the creature. Bee asked him to use her instead, but he refused, saying he couldn't let the creature take her because it would become stronger. However, Bee convinced him otherwise, telling him he had been failing for a long time using bait, and that this was his best chance since the creature wanted her alive. When it was time to search for the monster, Bee said goodbye to Jay. But before leaving, she took the strange object Jay had found at the camp when the attack began. Deep in the forest, Quinn warned her not to look into the creature's eyes or it would control her. They stopped at a certain point, where Quinn said the target was close. Suddenly, he threw B to the ground and shouted to attract the creature, saying it should come if it wanted her so badly. The creature then appeared with a terrifying scream and quickly began transforming into the shape of a girl, Quinn's daughter, which weakened him mentally and physically. The creature took advantage of this, attacked Quinn, and knocked him to the ground. Meanwhile, the creature pulled back slightly. Quinn crawled toward a rock, and B went to check on him, discovering that the creature had taken the form of Quinn's daughter. Quinn confirmed it, saying that was why he couldn't attack it. B tried to convince him to give up on killing the monster and leave the forest with Jay, but Quinn became furious and dragged her away. He took her to the top of a hill where there was wood and a rope, ordering her to stand on the wood and place the rope around her neck. She noticed he was weakening due to his injuries and tried to fight back, but he stopped her. Quinn insisted on continuing his plan, tightened the rope, and then screamed to attract the creature again. At that moment, B took out the strange object she had taken earlier and struck him in the neck. As Quinn fell in pain, he collapsed to the ground and heard the creature approaching, mimicking the voice of his daughter. He tried to hide and tighten the rope around B, while she tried to cut it to survive but failed and lost consciousness. However, she managed to weaken it enough. Moments later, the rope snapped and B fell. Quinn ran through the forest, hearing the creature's whispers imitating his daughter's voice, then collapsed, dying from his injuries. Before dying, he saw the creature in the form of his daughter and passed away in its grasp. At night, B woke up, grabbed a knife, and returned to the hideout. The creature followed her, making terrifying sounds around her. It struck her and dragged her into a ruined area where she found Quinn's skin, making her breathe heavily in fear. The monster then pushed her into a pit, and moments later she woke up on a sacrificial stone. She stood up and looked around, seeing drawings on the rocks showing sacrificial rituals, along with scattered human bones. She carefully picked up her knife and moved through the area, but the creature grabbed her and brought her back to the sacrificial stone. This happened repeatedly as she refused to give up. Severely injured, she eventually decided to surrender and called out to the creature. The monster circled her slowly and approached. At that moment, B seized the opportunity and stabbed it with the knife, making it scream in pain and throw her away. She stood up and finally saw the full terrifying form of the creature. The monster attacked her again, but it was still weakened. In a critical moment, B saw the knife still stuck in its chest, pulled it out, and stabbed it in the mouth. The creature screamed again and collapsed. She then grabbed the knife and decapitated it, finally killing it. Its body began to decay, turning into worm-like remains, which she crushed to ensure it was completely destroyed. She climbed out of the pit and felt relief that everything was finally over. At sunrise, she returned to the shelter and found Jay still alive. She treated his wounds, gave him medicine, and after properly fixing his leg, they walked out together and finally felt relief as they found the right path. They started heading back home. But as they walked, they heard the creature's terrifying scream once again in the distance, and that was the end of the film. Thank you for watching, and don't forget your opinion matters. Leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel.